Good morning. How are you?
Hello, for those who are there, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's going to work better.
Hello?
Can you write in the chat if you can't hear me? I think you can, but just in case. Yeah, good, thanks. Other question, is the Moodle page working? Can you access the class and everything? Okay, good. Last time I thought this class, nobody had access to Moodle, nobody had access to the link, so. Oh, if you can't hear, I think it's probably on your side because most people can. Oh. Yeah, so we're going to start in like 10 minutes. All right, so let's start. Yeah, we're already a good number. So welcome to the class. I'm Nicolas Lepage-Chaussy. I'm going to teach you 201 section. I think it's what section is it, J or W? J, yeah. For this semester, it was supposed to be in person, but here we are. I've checked, I think last night, that the emergency rooms in Montreal are full at 120%. So yeah, it makes sense to do this like this. Hopefully I can see you in person as soon as possible. Okay, so today we're just going to, first of all, look at what's going on with Moodle, with MyLab, with the class outline, and start a bit with the material. So just as a way of organizing things, so you can always write stuff in the chat. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch it, maybe not. If you really need to tell something, then just interrupt nicely and say it. But if there's too many interruptions, then I'm just going to go ahead and talk. So I'm glad that most of you are there. Okay, so like all online classes, this class is recorded. So if you miss something, if you want to see something again, if you want to look at the material that we've seen in the class again, everything's going to be available on Moodle, so don't panic. Yeah, so, all right. So why don't we start with the Moodle page? All right, so let me share my screen. All right, so this is my Moodle page, but yeah, I haven't bothered changing it. So this should look like what you would see. So here are the links that you need. What you're going to use a lot is this MATLAB link. If you want to download the course outline. And then the content is organized this way. So each chapter you have slides that you can download at will, and the videos. So the videos, I haven't made them. So the coordinator of this class, Moshe Lander, he has recorded a bunch of videos that are quite well made, I would say. So they're interesting. They're good complements to this class. So I invite you to look at them. And here are all the announcements I'm going to make in the class. So I already posted one about the Zoom link and everything. All right, so let's start with the outline actually, and then I can go back to this MyLab thing. So, okay, so this is section J. I'm going to go in quite a lot of detail with the outline. Anyways, I know I'm going to get a few questions later on from people who haven't listened or weren't here, but here we go. So course prerequisites, none. Okay, so in principle, you could attend a class with no background whatsoever. However, this is what I'm going to say. So you don't need to know like past high school math for this class, but you should be comfortable with anything that has to do with graphs, with horizontal axis, vertical axis, looking at data, drawing straight lines at least, finding the intersections of straight lines. This would be helpful. Yeah, curves not so much. So we try to keep the level as light as possible, but still pretty much even today we're going to use a bunch of graphs and to understand things. So this helps a lot. So if you are really uncomfortable, I invite you to go back to your high school classes and look at how these things are done. Or maybe you just learn with us as we go. You don't need calculus or derivatives in this class, but I'm going to be honest, we kind of use it anyways. It's hidden in the back, but once we can just use calculus, you're going to see it's exactly the same thing. So you don't need calculus, but the notions look alike. For me, it's a real challenge to teach economics without using really higher level math, but yeah, it's a good challenge. So yeah, I'll try to do it. All right, so the textbook, you can access it through my lab. I'm going to show where. So it's yeah, it's a nice introductory textbook. It's a nice complement to the class. Maybe you can complete the class successfully without reading it, but I wouldn't count on it. So it's always good to just read the stuff. So some people ask me, oh, I don't know. I think the textbook is long. I don't like reading. I think your slides are okay. So everybody does it their way. My advice to you is try every which way you can. And once you see that you understand the material well, you do well in the labs, then that's a good fit for you. So starting university is starting to be a bit independent and knowing oneself. So knowing what works for you and how you learn. So everybody is different. So I'm not going to say there's one way fits all. All right, so yeah, one very important thing. So okay, so this is important. So to purchase my lab and to access the textbook and to access the labs, go through the Moodle page. All right, so this is important, the Moodle page there. You could, so some people just go on my lab link from somewhere else on the web, then they purchase everything, and then they ask me, oh, but now I did that, but I'm not sure how I can link it to your class in some way. So I don't know. So the way it's done is you go through the Moodle page, as we're going to see, and then you can access everything. So please, you're going to have a very good time if you buy all these things through Moodle. If not, it's complicated. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm going to try and fix your problems, but yeah, it's easier for everybody if you do it this way. So please make it easy on yourselves. Okay, labs. There are 13 labs. So some of them are easier, some of them are harder, or rather, they're all long, and some have easy questions, some have harder questions. So yeah, they're there to test you and make sure that you understand the material just covered. Now, in the midterms, in my impression, the midterms don't involve the hardest questions in the labs, but they do reflect the midterm and the final, but they do reflect quite well what's been covered in the labs. So the labs are there to prepare you for the midterms and the final. Notice you have 13 labs and they're worth 20%. So what this means is, in case something went wrong and you really didn't do that well, you just got 70% on your lab number 1. Should you drop the class or start a career as a barista or something else? No, it's really small. This is there to just incentivize you a bit to try and do well because it's still worth 20%. But no, so the way it's graded, every lab is worth like more than 1.5%. So yeah, so it's really no big deal if you don't do well. The goal is to do all of them. If you don't do some lab, then of course you start doing the minus 1.5 each time, so it can add up. If you don't do any lab, then you start with the class with 80%. So I mean, if you're a genius and you really are lazy, then don't do any lab. But my advice to you is do the labs. They're worth it. All right. So yeah, the midterms are there. Okay. So the time is already there. So if you don't remember something about the class, the first thing you should think of is, oh, let's look at the class outline. Maybe the information is there. And yes, it is there. So midterm 1 is Sunday. So note that the 2 midterms are on Sundays. So why do we do that on Sunday? Well, because Sundays people are usually more free. So that's the best way to avoid any problem with the midterms. That said, so as I'm going to say later, if you don't write a midterm, it's fine. The weight is going to be transferred to the final exam. So if something happened and you have some religious holiday or somebody died in your family or something, and you really cannot do any of the one or the other midterm or both, then their weight is going to be transferred to the final exam. So again, it's best if you do, because it gives you good feedback on how well you're doing, and it puts less stress on you for the final exam, because the final exam is long and it has many questions. So it's always best to lower the stakes at any one evaluation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is one thing. So coordination, the Econ 2-1 is a coordinated across all sections. So you're not just like 200 something students here. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students who are taking the class at the same time. So what this means is I have very little leeway into how I grade you, how I can adjust things, because it has to be fair for everybody. And I'm sure that you would be mad if some other section gave some extra credit for something or changed something for their students and you didn't have access to that. Yeah, so good questions. So exams are online. Yeah, they're going to be on Moodle. Somebody asked. Yeah. So yeah, okay. So lectures they're delivered. They should be delivered in person as soon as we don't have the variant anymore. But who knows? Maybe there's a new variant. There are so many Greek letters that, yeah, let's be optimistic and hope. Hopefully, we meet in person. But yeah, for now, it's online. Office hours. They're again in person in my office, so I wrote them there. Then they're on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right after the class.
I put them there because I usually get tons of questions just after the class. So it's more convenient for everybody to just hop into the office hours and do that there. So today I might have a few minutes after the class, but yeah, it's not easy for me to do them today. But yeah, more normally we have them, no problem. It's going to be in my office, so yeah. Virtual for now. Okay, assignments I already told a bit about. So it's 1.5% each, up to a maximum of 20%. So in case you get 1.5, you get 100% of on all your MyLabs, then 100 times, then 1.5 times 14 would give you something like 21%, I think. So it's capped at 20%, but yeah, nobody gets 100% on all their MyLab assignment, but who knows? That's just some detail. Yeah, so you access there through MyLab. Yeah, this is again just to emphasize that go through the Moodle page to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult. Yeah. So, oh yeah. So your first attempt in the MyLabs is what you get as grade. You don't have many tries. So the labs are graded automatically, and the solutions are posted quite fast. But there is one thing that you can do. So in case you are a very conscientious student and you always do your MyLabs in time, but for some reason, at some point, you know you're not going to have enough time to do your MyLab in time, then you write to me and you can ask for a 48-hour extension for one of them. So only one of the MyLabs, you get an extension. You can do it later. Otherwise, yeah, you don't have any other extension. Yeah, so there are multiple choice, they're graphical, numerical. Students usually say that what's more difficult is drawing graphs. But yeah, I'm really impressed that they still manage to create interesting questions with graphs and curves that you have to fill in that are non-trivial. So you're going to get used to it as you go along. I'm going to show you. Yeah, so you have as much time as you want to complete the MyLab questions. And if you have questions, you email there. Okay, exams. So as I said, there are 2 of them that are already scheduled. They're at 10 a.m., I think. Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern. So they are quite long. So that means what? It means that you have to be quick when you do them. Otherwise, you're going to run out of time. And this means that this class, although it's a introductory class, it can be quite challenging. So later I think they said that usually like only half of students get A's or B's. So last time it was 2/3, I think. So yeah, they did very well, but normally it's only half, because yeah, there are many questions, and even for me, some of them would be challenging if I had to answer them in, say, 1 minute. So sometimes you have to think a bit, you have to compute stuff. So don't take them lightly, even if you understand what's going on in the class. To do well in the exams, here's what you have to do. You have to practice and practice and practice and practice. So you go over your MyLab questions again and again and again until you can do them very quickly and you're very familiar with the material. Otherwise, the exam can go quickly and you kind of, yeah, you get lost. yeah, so all these things are, yeah, no makeup or defer the midterms. I don't have it. Yeah, can use non-programmable calculator, no notes. So I'm going to hide everything in the course page while you're doing your exam. Yeah. So as we said, don't underestimate the difficulty of the exam. Yeah, there are, yeah, so this I already said about everything about this. Okay, and this is important. So the rule for the class is if you write to me, you must use your Concordia email address. This is to make sure that things are professional. So please don't use your personal address. Use your professional Concordia address. If you still don't have one, you ask these people and they are going to give you one. Now, other rules. So there are many of you, so it means many things. So first of all, when you write to me, so please say something like, hello, professor, I am a student in your Econ 2-1 class. By the way, it's the best class I've ever had in my life. Thank you very much. Here is my question. Okay. Otherwise, it takes time for me to just know, oh, where's that student coming from? And because I'm teaching a lot of different classes, so please remember that. So yeah, so please identify which class taking. Now, so if during the weekend, sometimes I may answer emails. Oftentimes I don't have time. So it means that, if it's something that's super urgent during the weekend, yeah, sorry, maybe I'm going to only answer on Monday, but maybe you're lucky and I get to answer during the weekend. If I don't answer you after like 3-4 days, it may be that your email got buried under tons of other email. If it was very important and you really need an answer, then feel free to email back again. I'm sorry I couldn't get to your email in time, but so know that. About grades, so don't ask me, oh, my friend just got his or her grade 5 minutes ago, but I can't find my grade for this class. What's up with that? Are you sleeping or something? No, I'm not. If you haven't gotten your grade yet, there's a reason for that. So if you ask me this kind of question in an email, yeah, I'm not. So the best I can and I could answer to you is just be patient. So maybe I'm not going to answer this thing. Dropping centers. This is in before we had office hour, not office hours, but TA sessions. This is in replacement to that. Yeah, discussion board. All these things are. Yeah, you can read the rest on your own. Redistribution. Yeah. As I said, normally we have only half that have A's or B's. Yeah, last time it was, I think, 70% or something. So yeah, maybe they were very smart. Who knows? So it means that it's not an easy class. It's made to be challenging. So don't take it lightly. Devote some good amount of time to learning it. Okay. Yeah, rest is. Okay, this one thing I had to say about this. So as you can see, also what makes this this class challenging is that, oh yeah, this one. So what makes this class challenging is that it covers a lot of material. So I always feel like I'm running. Basically, I have to. So introduction takes a bunch of time, and as you're going to see, I'm not going to have time to finish the introduction here and finish chapter 1. So it's going to take a bit of more time than just one session, but yeah, don't worry, we're going to get there. But we cannot waste any time because, as I already said, it's a session that's just one section of the whole class. So you have to follow along with all the others. And the labs are posted for everybody. So it means that if I feel like you have to go along and move, then that's what we do, and we cannot wait anymore. So yeah, so these are all the teams. These are all the times in which each lab is due. So I'm going to try to stick as closely as possible to this schedule. Again, today with this introduction, it's going to take longer. All right. Okay, so any question about yeah. So any question about the syllabus, the rules? Okay. So let me show you my lab and then we can start. All right, so you're on your Zoom class and you want to do stuff with Micro 2.1. So what do? You go here, you click on My Lab and Mastering, and maybe you have to register, or I haven't seen how it's done, but you have to use your student number, I think. So it's hard for me to see exactly how it's done on your side because it was done on my side. But once you register, this is what you will probably see. So you, yeah, this is for me. So you open My Lab and Mastering. This is an extra link. And this is the page you're going to see. And you can basically do everything you need to do in this class. So Pearson eText, that's the textbook. You click on that to see your textbook. And yeah, the page is not that fast. Pearson eText. Here it is. Okay, so it's written by a McGill person. And here you can see, so if you want to access some section, you can do that here. So what is economics? One thing that's quite neat about it is if you're looking for something in particular, I think I looked for idle, yeah. So I was looking for idle resources. So I just, you can use this magnifying glasses and search through the old text. And yeah, it's pretty well explained. So if sometimes I may go more quickly on some topic and you feel like you need more information, that's very nice. It's very well done. Yeah, so that's the thing. At the end, you also have study exercises, so that's nice. We get study exercises. Yeah, filling the blanks, all these things. I don't know if, yeah, and you have problems too. So to practice. So these are all nice at the end of chapters. So as I said, so what you're going to see in the midterms is going to look like this. So that's the textbook. Now, some other things that I can show you. So, study plan. So in study plan, you can practice, you can quiz me. Everything is there. So click on all chapters and then you can really access everything. So we can try. So for instance, supply and demand, study exercise 1. So this is that it doesn't count. It's something that is going to prepare you for the MyLab. So I advise you before you start the MyLab on some chapter, do the study plan, go to study plan and do this this thing. So you click on it and then they ask you questions about it. So yeah. So it's filling the blank, and then you can see if you get it right or wrong. You can check answers. So that's very well done too. Everything is done to help you. Yeah, and then once you go to the assignments, then you go there to actually do the lab. So you click on a lab, and then they shuffle the questions. So you might get different questions from your peers and in different orders, and then you answer them, and it's going to look a lot like the study plan in terms of style, and you answer them as well as you can, and then you get feedback on how well you did. And once the deadline is passed, then you can get the results. All right, so questions about my lab, about how things are done?
Yeah, actually, I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
For the labs, if I start the lab and I exit, can I come back to it at a later time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can.
Okay, perfect.
So you have as long as you want. Of course, then if you don't finish it by the due date, then you cannot do it anymore. Just wait a second.
But we can
My sound was deactivated, so okay. So this is my lab. So that's basically all you have to know for the class. So register through Moodle. Oh, it's not a gaming chair. It's just a normal chair, but it's very comfortable. I think I bought that at Staples. Okay. So without further ado, let's start the class. Yeah, it's extremely comfy. That's by far the most I've tried, the best I've tried. Okay. So, oh, sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and start. All right, so what's up with this? So this is the introduction today. So let me give you my 2 cents about economics in general. Why would you care about it? So a nice quote I've heard is, the 20th century was all about speech, and the 21st century is all about data and math. So it might be a bit extreme as way to think, but still it represents something. It's the fact that nowadays computers are everywhere and models are everywhere, and we expect people to be more and more able to think in abstract terms and think in non-trivial ways about how the society works and how you can make informed decisions in life. And economists sit well at the intersection of both way of thinking, because we're thinking about human concepts, about the way society works, about the way people interact in the marketplace, in their lives in general, about how they make decisions. But what makes a good economist is the ability to not only have ideas about how market works, but also being able to conceptualize these ideas using words, graphs, and math and models and data. So a good economist, in my opinion, is somebody that is able to explain some concept using words, using graphs, using math, using models. So I'm going to try and flip through the modes of thinking. And it's going to be good if you, so that's something that may be difficult for lots of people, because some people are very good at intuitive thinking, but maybe not so proficient at math. Some people have very good analytical skills, but maybe have a more difficult time making the link from the analytical to just the ideas that we're talking about. So it's a very good skill to be able to just start with an idea and conceptualize it. And that's what we're going to see in this class, but in most of economics classes too. So this class, of course, it's an introductory class, and we don't expect you to have so much math. So it's conceptual. But as I said, we can't go around it completely. It's a university level class, and you have to be familiar with some math concepts. Right. Yeah, one thing about how the class is going to work is, so the slides are, I'm going to give it to you right away. So there are some errors in the slides that I'm going to correct as we go along. Still, there might be something that's wrong with the slide, or maybe I'm saying something that doesn't make sense. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. If you think so, then please intervene. So please say, oh, sir, I think this is wrong for XYZ reason. So 2 reasons to do that. One, it's super useful for me and for your classmates because the error gets corrected. And 2, you look like a genius. So everybody wants to look like a genius. So if you have there's a mistake, then please say so. If you have some question, that's something that you think is unclear. So yeah, this is I think it's a Chinese proverb that says, so if you ask a basic question, then you may look like a fool once, but if you don't ask it, then you are a fool for the rest of your life. So if you don't know something, then muster your courage and ask the question. So that's what makes this class dynamic. Otherwise, I would just record everything and you wouldn't have anything to say about it. So feel free to interrupt and feel free to ask questions. So that's what makes stuff interesting. Okay, so here's what we're going to see. So again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see everything. As a matter of fact, I pretty sure I'm not going to be able to see everything today. But yeah, we're going to see as much as we can. By the way, just yeah, okay. All right, so what is economics? So we're going to explain the importance of scarcity, choice, opportunity cost. So this is really at the core of what is actually microeconomics mostly. So yeah, the concept of trade-offs, the concept of rational choice of choosing the best for you as a firm, as for you as a consumer, is really at the core of microeconomics, and that's what we're going to see. Complexity of modern economies. So most modern economies now are market economies. You can go to North Korea if you want to see a non-market economy, an economy that's not capitalistic, but otherwise most economies are capitalistic. If we were in the 60s, 70s, then maybe it would be a class that would be split between communist economics and capitalistic economics. But yeah, nowadays economists have their say about what's best, what's not best in terms of how we should organize. But also it's a science in a sense that we try to understand what we observe in the world. So since what we mostly observe is market-based economics, then that's what we're going to try and understand. But yeah, at the end, we're going to say a few things about why markets may be better than other organizations. And yeah, here we're going to describe a bit this sort of organized economic organization we had in the past. All right. So these are all pressing issues for economists. So productivity growth, what's important about it? Well, everything. I've taught growth before, and so why do we care about this? Well, because growth is something that becomes unavoidable over time. So you may think, oh, I want to have a 10% higher wage, and oh, it's very important for me. But imagine rather than having a stagnant economy that is always the same size and you get 10% higher wage. So instead of having, say, $20 an hour, you get $22 an hour, or the economy grows by 5% each year. So it means that the first year you get 20%, then the second year you get you get $20 an hour, then the second year you get $20 and $21, then 21 plus 5%, and then what's going on with economic growth is it stacks over time, so it's hugely important. So we're going to discuss everything that's going on with it, not the source but the consequences. Aging. So that's why do we care about this? Well, we care about this for yeah. So this, yeah. Well, and by the way, how these things, I'm going to post them on Moodle if I write stuff, so you can remember. So what's important about aging? Well, it causes it's a consequence of many things are a consequence of aging. So it's important for, say, retirement, personal finance. And even nowadays, what we are experiencing is labor shortage. Can somebody tell me why aging is important for labor shortage?
You want somebody to answer that? Or it's
Is it because like the population has to work more for the people that have like aged?
the percentage of the population that's working age is smaller, and
I've been talking for a while, so nobody has any idea how aging may influence labor shortage.
yeah, less of the population is like in their prime working age, like from 25 or 20 or 25 to like 65. So yeah, you have more generally old people are going to be less productive.
People are talking and I can't hear you.
Oh.
Well, we can look at Japan as an example of what is happening
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, because there are more people that are
I don't
aging
think the professor can hear us.
and yeah.
Don't hear anybody.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear anything. So could you say that again?
Because there are gonna be more people that are gonna be work more longer periods of time for the aging population that are becoming less productive.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Okay. The percentage of the working of like people in their kind of like prime working age is smaller, so like 20 or 25 to 65, there's a smaller share. And so generally, like I don't know, when you reach a certain age, you get your pension, your productivity goes down if you work at all, and so it creates a larger burden on yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what I
So I
said.
think basically wouldn't be able to produce as much capital because as they said, like the old age is less, like the old people are less productive, and also there's the like some of the money would go if like a lot of people are in their old age. Some of the capital being produced would have to go to taking care of them as well. So there's a
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
give
so there's
enter our
Social
break.
Social Security.
Yeah, this will
Yeah.
create a bigger stress on social security and healthcare also, which is important.
Yeah. So yeah, so just going to write it this way. Yeah. So it means that even though, say, older generation like baby boomer may have big retirement funds and maybe very may think that, oh, I'm just going to retire and be rich and go to the go do nothing but enjoy my retirement. Well, sadly, if there are no young people to work, then you can't buy anything, you can't do anything. So that's what we're finding out right now. It's obviously much exacerbated by the pandemic, but still it's a reflection of the fact that so in many instances, there is a demand for many goods and services, but you don't have enough young workers to work in these professions, and they can't find they can't find the labor they need. So what's going to happen? Well, you have to increase wages at some point. So that's something that's something that we're going to see is that at some point, if there is a higher demand than supply, so here if there's a very high demand for young low wage workers and the supply is too small, then what will happen is wages will increase. And so this increase in wage, sorry about that. If everything increases in price, what it's going to materialize into is inflation. And so I thought I had a good retirement fund and I had lots of money, but all the prices go up. So in the end, my purchasing power is not that all that great, and we are starting to see inflation going up. Yeah. Okay. So what is so somebody asks what's going on? What's going to happen in the future? So the UN says that well, not the UN, but they have projections, but many people have projections, and they say that first of all the world population should stabilize maybe mid-century. So this is crazy because the highest growth of human population in history happened in 1969, I think. And now by 2050 or 60, the population of the world would be more or less stable. So that means lots and lots and lots of old people and not so many young people. So what's the solution for retirement? Well, we're not there yet, but basically, so either you cannot create something from nothing. So you have to make some decision somewhere. So either people still retire at the same age, but they're poor, or they work for a longer period of time and they retire later. Or yeah, that's about it. So either they retire later, or either we invent robots to work instead of young people. So that could be a thing too. But you see that so you at some point something is got to give. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents about aging. And yeah, Japan is quite advanced in this on this path because they have their population is starting to shrink in many places. But it's not just Japan. In Eastern Europe, in some countries, the young people are all leaving because they have no hope in the future, and so the population is decreasing, but it's just the old people are staying there, so it's very difficult. In Italy, in many European countries, they have a hard time replacing population. It's a fascinating topic. Climate change. So I've known that for a while. Economists have been talking about the problem of resources for 100 years. So environmental economics have existed since about 1960s. But it's getting extremely popular right now. There are many job openings for environmental economics, climate change, all these things. So by the way, I'm teaching a class about environmental economics. So yeah, if you are interested in the topic, then and if you like my teaching, then good for you. If you don't like my teaching, then too bad. Accelerating technical change. So that's of course linked to productivity growth. What is productivity? It's how much output is produced by some factor. So for instance, productivity of labor is how much people produce. So if I'm a worker at, say, McDonald's, it's how much for an hour of work I'm able to produce Big Macs, for instance. And it's obviously linked to what technology I can work with. And this is an interesting question too. So people can look at technology everywhere and think, wow, it's crazy how technology is advancing very fast. But economists don't always see it that way. In the numbers, what we tend to see is that productivity and technology was increasing really quickly during the 20th century. And now, not all that clear. So what's the biggest innovation in the last, say, 10 years, 20 years? Is it Twitter or Facebook? It's fun, but is it as game-changing as the invention of the plane or going to the moon? I'm not so sure. So yeah, that's but obviously those two issues are crucial. Oops, sorry about this. Protectionism. So somebody knows what protectionism is?
Yeah, protectionism is when a country enacts laws such as tariffs in order to decrease the competition that their internal market faces versus outside markets.
Exactly. So yeah, tariffs or other measure to limit imports. And so this is something that's become extremely popular with Trump in the US. So now that Biden is there, they want to go back to what the US used to do, but still, so the US isn't by any stretch an open economy, because it's very large and it could produce everything that it can that it needs. So it means that it always have the choice to import or not import anything. It can produce crude oil, although it's more expensive than importing it. So it means that for Canada, which has to trade because we're a much smaller economy. So everything you're a small economy, it's best to do what you do best and to import the rest. So we are sort of stuck with the US and we have to abide by their rules basically, or somehow with Mexico too, but it goes through the US anyways. So it means that for things like wood, so we've had the trade discussions about wood for a very long time, and we've lost a lot of money because they want to impose measures on Canadian wood, and it's they can do basically whatever they can. So we're going to see this later. Growing income inequality. So if I was to ask you, do you think there is growing income inequality? I'm not qualifying it. I'm just saying in general. Give me your best shot.
Yeah, I'd say there's been a lack of like real wage growth at like kind of the bottom of the like people that are like, I don't know, the lowest quartile or half. And what about it? Yeah, I'd say there's kind of been a like if you look at historically over say the last 20 years, you look at like the job growth figures. A surprising number of those are kind of in like probably like low productivity industries, and so I'd say that's really been a negative factor. Like there's the kind of like less industry, more, I don't know, like Tim Hortons or whatever. It's that's really gonna drag down the standard of living, I'd say.
Yeah, so that's a very good answer. So within industrialized countries, but between countries, lots of catching up. Of poor countries. Yeah, so yeah, and something I could add to is Um, at the very top. So the 1%, 0.1%, this is real. But between countries, we see that poorer countries, China a lot, but also India and many others are catching up very quickly. So if you look at the world as a whole, is the world as a whole getting more or less equal? It's sort of it's neither. It looks like it looks like the gain made by the poorest people in the world are making up for the losses made by the middle class in the industrialized nations. But within countries, that's for sure. Right. So what is economics? So I should give you some definition of it. So yeah, it's the study of the use of scarce resources to satisfy unlimited human wants. So this is exactly, I would say, microeconomics. So economists look like yeah, you could say are a bit. So people may say that economics is a dismal science, or science of people who always say, yeah, but you shouldn't really do something. You shouldn't have hope because everything has a price, everything has consequence, everything is a choice, everything is a sacrifice. So in a way, yeah. So economists, if you go to a party and people ask you, so what what do you do in life? And you say, I'm an economist. Ooh, you have other qualities. So that it's not super popular because yeah, it's associated with this calculating mindset, but it's important. It's important issues that we have to discuss because yeah, we cannot do everything we want. We have to make difficult choices, and people have to think about these choices. So what are the scarce resources? So we generally classify them in 3 categories, but yeah, these are just classifications. So land is where you can build stuff, and now it's mostly used everywhere because there are countries everywhere and rules about where you can build stuff. But yeah, some places you can go and build stuff more easily, but it's because the climate is harsh, so there are not many people living there anyways. Or if you want, you can maybe buy a cruise ship and go to the open sea and have your nation there. By the way, a few years back, so some people who made a lot of money in Bitcoin, they bought a boat and they said, we're going to have our own societies on the boat. Didn't work all that well, and they had to sell the boat later on. But yeah, it was a dream, a nice dream to create a new country. Labor, that's you and I and everybody. That's our effort to produce or help firms produce things. So that's also something that makes economists not so popular, because it looks like all we care about is, we don't care about you as individual and multifaceted personality and spiritually. We just care about what can you produce. So it's sort of unidimensional, but that's in economics that's really what we care about. And capital is tool, machinery, equipment. Oh, they didn't. Yeah, land, labor. Oh, that's very interesting. So I would add natural resources as well. Yeah, because land is really what we would say is yeah, where you can build stuff, but natural resources is what you can get. So like oil. Lithium, all these kind of things. All right, so this is very important. And yeah, so capital, and sometimes we are so this is a way to classify this, but other classification. So sometimes that's something you may hear. So physical capital. Which is tools, machinery, etc. And human capital, which is employees, workers, and their skill level. So it means that if you have some very productive worker, then you have lots of human capital to work with. Yeah, so ocean. Yeah, if the goal is to be stateless and have your ship on the open sea and create your own society there, then it's sort of yeah, you could say it's land, but it's not land really. But mostly what we care about is what we can use it for. So what's inside it. So either oil if you want to drill, or fish. But that's something else too. We've been using the ocean a lot. So. All right. Yeah, so resources are called factors of production. That's we're going to discuss a lot about it. We discussed what is produced into goods and services. So goods is tangible. So like Apple, computer, yeah, no, it's a car, house, and services is intangible. So it's hairdresser. By the way, somebody knows what is one of the cause of the labor shortage or the shortages we're seeing? Yeah, not labor shortage, but the shortage we're seeing all around. So why it's hard to buy some goods? It's linked to these two things there.
Yeah,
and the
so
pandemic.
the supply is less than the demand, basically.
Yes, but
Virus.
yeah, but so what's the mechanism there?
So I think there are two factors. One is that due to coronavirus, things got shut down, and the amount of goods that you can produce in those months, those were not produced. So there are natural shortage of supply, and then also on the demand side, the people are buying a lot of stuff these days because they're free at home. So that propelled the demand. So there's been inequality between these two, and that has caused tons of shortages on all the fronts, especially cars and semiconductors.
Yeah,
so basically,
it's exactly so. Yeah, it's good answer. So what was going on is before lots of people just went out to the restaurant instead of cooking at home, got their hair cut often, went to the gym, all these things. So they didn't have to buy stuff. They just went out and received the services. Now with the coronavirus, you cannot receive these services anymore. So what you do, well, you have to cook at home. So you have to buy your pots and pans and your cooking books and become a chef, and you have to exercise at home and do everything at home. So so it's this mismatch there that makes, so there's just a excess demand for the goods that, so normally people wouldn't buy all that much stuff, but now we're stuck at home. That's what we're doing. So that was the cause of the shortage. Yeah. So here the split is between production and consumption. So production is machine and equipment used by firms to produce other things. And consumption is end products. Yeah, for consumers. So these are our classifications. So why do we say that? Relative to our desire, existing resources are scarce. So we say that because economists assume that people always want more. So you can disagree with me about this, but I tell you that it's mostly true. So that means that we have to make choices. We cannot have everything. So if I, as a worker, have some income, then I have to use this income as well as possible to buy the things I need and make choices, make hard choices. So maybe if I'm super rich, I can do whatever, but even somebody like Jeff Bezos, he can either take his spaceship and go in orbit, or he can use his money and cure diseases, or give a raise to Amazon employees. So he could choose either of the three, but so he decided to take his money and build rockets and go in orbit. So that's his choice. Everything we do is about choice. So that's what we say, that why we say that things are scarce, and existing resources, so what we can use to produce stuff, is scarce. Yeah, and so this is a very important concept that you're going to be quizzed on, so learn it. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative that is programmed when you buy something. So it means that even if, for instance, I go to the store, oh, it's already 10. So I'm just going to finish with this and then we can carry on. So if I go to the store and I decide that I'm going to buy an apple, what is the price of this apple? Maybe it's 25 cents. Yeah, price of apple. 25 cents. But the opportunity cost of buying the apple, so it's the price or the value, yeah, of the next best thing, of what I would have bought otherwise. So so imagine that they're out of apples, and then I think, oh, I really wanted an apple, so now let's buy something that's not as valuable for me, but still I have my 25 cents thing to spend. So I'm going to buy a banana, for instance. So the opportunity cost of buying an apple is the value of the banana that I bought. Instead of so let me just Yeah, so I buy the apple because that's the best thing I can buy to make myself happy. The price of the apple is 25 cents, but the opportunity cost of the act of buying the apple is not having the 25 cents that I could have used to buy something else. And for instance, if I had bought a banana instead, and the banana had a value of, say, 20 cents for me instead of 25, because I don't really like bananas all that much, then that's the opportunity cost of buying the apple. All right, so I'm going to end here for now, and we can continue later. So as I told you, so it's the class goes very fast, and we still have many slides to see for the introduction. So it takes a while, but yeah, we're going to get there. Don't worry. All right, any questions before we end up and then we end the class?
I just had a question about opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Is it only the next best alternative, or is it any alternative that is equivalent value?
It's not equivalent value. It's so you went there and bought an apple. Why did you? And imagine the apple and the banana are both 25 cents. You bought the apple because it has the best value for you. So that's something that we're going to see too, is there's a difference between the market value of stuff and what value it gives you. And there's this notion of surplus, which is the difference. So probably something like, or for you, an apple, you would have been ready to pay 50 cents for the apple, but it's just 25 cents. So the surplus for you is 25 cents, for instance. But the surplus of buying something else like an apple is less, so you didn't buy the banana is less. But yeah, it's the best alternative because we don't care about what you don't like. It's we don't say, oh yeah, but you could have gone to the massage parlor and you don't like massages. Well, it doesn't matter for you, so we don't care about it. Yeah, so it's the next best thing.
Is it the value or the price of the next best thing?
It's the value, yeah. So, and there's a difference between the value and price, as we're going to see. But so, in a sense, the value could be measured in many different ways, but we still do measure it in monetary terms. So I'm going to write it here. Yeah, because both are the same. It's the price of the apple is 25 cents. So the next best thing you could, so it means you're not going to keep your 25 cents and do nothing with it or throw it at the to the window. You're going to buy something with it. So the market cost, the market price of the alternative is again 25 cents, but the value for you of buying it is lower than the value of the apple.
Professor, I still don't understand.
Yeah, okay, so let's say we I start again at this slide next time because we're out of time. And yeah, it's when I explain more, it's going to make more sense. How about that?
All right, Professor, have a good day.
So have a good day, everybody, and yeah. Oh, somebody has raised their hand. Yeah, those who raise their hand, yeah, go ahead and. So Javi, I think.
Do we have to talk to you using Moodle, or do you want us to send you emails?
Oh, email is much better.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I'm on my lab, it asks me for the school ID. I did it the way the document wants us to do it, and I'm not supposed to have the school ID on math lab. So do you have an idea of what I can do to access it? Because I just paid the thing to have access to all the assignments, right? So
Yeah.
do you have any idea what I could do?
So
Yeah, I know. I got the same problem. So you under the course Econ 201, there is the Moshi with some numbers. Just copy and paste it on the school ID and it will work. That's the school ID.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
You understood? Like under Econ 201 in Pearson MyLab.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Professor.
yeah.
I want to ask you, could we sometimes consider machinery under labor?
Say that again.
Could we sometimes consider machinery under labor?
Machinery, no, not really. Labor
It's like
is people, but so people use capital to produce stuff. So what you will say is, imagine I'm an employee and I should, I don't know, plow some field. So I'm the laborer, but then if you give me a shovel, it's going to take me a week to do it. If you give me a tractor, it's going to take me an hour to do it. So in one case, we're going to see that I'm very productive with the tractor and very unproductive with the shovel. But as labor, it's the question is so how many people do you hire, for instance? Do you hire 1 people, 5 people, 10 people?
So isn't it that the machinery comes under capital because we
Exactly.
spend money?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also people come under capital, as you said earlier. So
Oh yeah, human capital.
yeah. So how about companies that rely mostly on machinery and artificial intelligence, especially car companies and so on?
Oh, then they don't. They have very little labor.
Oh, okay. Thank you very
So
much.
I think the car companies still require a lot of labor, but these tech companies where you need 100 employees, all total 100 employees to manage $1 billion of business, that's the place where you don't need much of the labor force.
Yeah, exactly. The I would say the dream of, and so how much companies spend in terms of resources, the most is devoted to labor by far. So that's their dream, is to have very few workers.
Yeah, but I think the thing about that is that most of the tech companies, what they offer is services, right? And they're not really tangible goods that they provide. And I think the cost for the labor that it costs for making services, like for offering services, is always less than the cost that it makes, that you need for making goods. Isn't that the case?
Yes, so it depends on the type of services that they give, but
yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So tech companies, yes, they have a huge sunk cost, huge fixed cost of. So take, I don't know, email company, say Gmail. So there's Outlook. So there's a huge cost of just coding everything, but once it's done, then you can just deploy it and have millions of users for basically free. Or you still have the servers to pay and all these things, but yeah. So you have a few programmers that you pay to produce the stuff, and that's your labor. But once it's done, it's very good.
So, Professor, just on the opportunity cost, as we are doing our bachelor's or anybody who is just studying, right? They are living their lives 2, 3, or 4 years where they could have worked and made money. So that's kind of an opportunity cost that you're paying. So you're not earning actually, but if you were not studying, so that so it's not only your tuition, it's just your tuition plus your opportunity cost. It's a total sum of the education that you pay. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
sort of.
Yeah, that's included in the next best alternative. It's so imagine, yeah, that's something we're going to talk more about, but going to Concordia. So there's the market price of buying your education at Concordia is just student fees or buying my lab, for instance, but also the time you spend here just listening to the class that you could be doing other things. And it makes sense to think at every time, at every step, could I be making something better with my money? Could I be using my time in other ways? Yeah.
Hi. Well, I just want to talk about the videos on Mojo. Do we have to watch it?
Oh, so I'm never going to tell you don't watch it. so if they help you, of course you watch it. So they go again over the concepts seen in the class. So I would say they're very good. Yeah. So I'm not going to say, oh, do something, or unless otherwise I'm going to be mad at you. No, you do what you do with your life, but I tell you it's a good idea to use as much as possible the resources that we give to you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, are you gonna post the slides with the edited, like with the extra texts?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Professor.
All right. So, well, thanks everybody, and I see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you.